We have covered till Aslesha the last week. So Aslesha, as we have talked about, was the Sarpas or the serpents, of which we have talked about the avatars of the Lakshmana in the Rama Avatara. And we have also talked about Balarama, who was the elder brother of Krishna. So as we end Aslesha and move into the next set of the nakshatras, that's uh, that's starting Leo. It's a fire sign again, and you're starting afresh with the first pada falling in the first pada onwards. The nakshatra is going to start like Ashwini did in Aries. The first pada of nakshatra Ashwini is falling in Aries itself. That's what happens to Magha as well. So our next set of nakshatras are starting. You can relate these stories either to Uttara Ramayana or to the Mahabharata. I have not got enough understanding or enough stories how to link Uttara Ramayana. I'm as well learning like you. I would attach as in the, I would actually put more and more stories as and when I learn them, and try to attribute them to the nakshatras that we are learning. Right now we have Magha, which is let's look at it from the Mahabharata's angle. So the Ramayana is over and the Mahabharata is started. That's how we should look at it. And we have the mantra is Pitrunam Magha Rudantaha Parastat Apabhramsho Avastat. Pitrunam Magha Rudantaha Parastat Apabhramsho Avastat. This is the mantra. So the deity of the nakshatra is the Pitris. The Pitris would mean Pitris or Pitrus or whatever you would want to call it, would mean ancestors. Okay, the people who are our forefathers, who have left the body here and reached the Pitriloka. Those are called our ancestors who have already died here and reached the Pitriloka. So it would mean that if the father is alive, the grandfather, or even if the grandfather is alive, his father would mean Pitris for all of us, for the clan that we are living, or for the kind of family that we are living. So these are the Pitris. And it's important to, in all the cultures that you would see, even in the West or in the East or in the Middle East, people have, remembrances like, they celebrate or they try to mourn on the day. Sorry for the word celebrate. They would try to mourn on the day that they have, left the body in all the cultures. So it's been a culture across religions, across everyone. They would remember that day and mourn for those spirits. So it's important to do that in the nakshatra. If somebody is not doing it, it's going to show an effect on the children being delivered by the person. So whichever culture you are, it's better to have better to remind your ancestors on the day that they have left the world. Have make a note of it in your diaries and do some mourning and try to feed the poor or based on the culture that you live in and the religion that you follow. There would always be a few customs or rites that you would do for your ancestors. Please do all of them. Like for the Hindus, we do tarpanas and we do the Shraddha karmas. It's always encouraged to do such things because the Pitris would be happy receiving those rites, and you are trying to at least remember your ancestors, uh, at least once in a year. Most importantly, for the people who do not have either of the parents or both the parents. Okay, and symbols are the throne. Okay, so as long as the Pitris are not happy, you don't have the throne in your hand. I'll relate each of these things. Let me just run through what these are saying. So you have royal throne, and then you have a male rat, and then the kind of nakshatra is a Ugra nakshatra or a cruel nakshatra or a Krura nakshatra. Krura and cruel would mean the same. And then it's downwards, facing downwards. So anything goes wrong, the person is going to blame his own self. He'll not be able to see what went wrong, and he's trying to blame his own self for it. Okay. And the nickname is the star of the power. This is a very powerful nakshatra. Any planet placed here is not ignored. It is going to bring you into the limelight. Okay. Any planet placed in Magha is going to bring you into the limelight because of the significations of the uh, of that planet, due to the lordship it can be, or due to the disposition it is doing, or due to the significations naturally it is delivering. Okay, for example, the seventh lord's dispositor is placed in Magha. You are into the limelight, or you are having a lot of power with respect to it. You are known in the world, or in your family, or in your community, or in your place because of that particular thing. Okay, so do not ignore Magha. Magha is going to give you a lot of rewards. Although it's a cruel nakshatra, it's a very rewarding one. Okay. The foundation above is mourning. The foundation below is leaving the body. And as I said, as the body leaves, the expectation is people who remain here mourn for them at least once in a year. And Tyage Shepana Shakti, the power to leave the body, is the Shakti. And the final desire is to flourish in the world of Pitris. So the philosophy of the Vedas or the Vedic culture used to be very different. It's not the same right now what we follow. Okay, there are different ways in people approach to these things these days. However, what is understood across all the people of the Vedic religion is that they were mourning for their ancestors once in a year for sure. No matter what kind of deity they were following at that point in time. For sure, the Pitris were remembered every year. Okay, and leaving the body or mourning or flourishing in the world of Pitris would all refer to only one thing here, which is having children. Okay, so in the Vedic culture, which is not very different from other cultures in the olden days, the expectation is the person has to get married, the person has to have children. Okay. One of the responsibilities of the human being is getting married and having children. So this particular star, the Magha, is dealing with having children. If you have children, Magha is going to bless you. If you do not have children, the Magha is going to not work as good as it should be. In simple terms, in one line, if you ask me what is Magha doing, the first question we would ask is, do you have children? If you have children, it means the Magha is going to give you rewards. Okay, because the next nakshatra that we have after Magha is Purva Phalguni, which would deal, I'm just showing it up for the reference of you, which would deal with Aryamanaha Purve Phalguni Jaya Parastat Rishabho Avastat. This is the mantra. So this would deal with the word called Jaya. Jaya would mean the the dharmic spouse of a person who is married with the consent of parents, and who is delivering a child who is exactly a replica of yourself. So in the Vedic system, what people have understood is it is impossible for human, as a human, we cannot stay in this world forever. However, you can stay in this world as your child. So an amsha of yours, the sperm of yours, is going into your wife and it is delivering a child. Okay, an ovum comes out from the wife, the sperm comes out from the man, the fertilization happens, and you are going to live as your child in the on the earth. Okay, that's what is the Vedic culture opined. And they said if you have to live longer, the only thing that you can do is make a replica of yourself as your child, and the child produces once again, and you are living on as if you are trying to live on, right? So the generations are living on, and we are just the replicas of our people who were our ancestors. So the power to leave the body can come only when you have children. Okay. These are like the metaphors. They are not like the straight things wherein you have a clear understanding of why the leaving of the body, mourning, or anything has got to do with the power or anything. If you just try to relate with what I just said right now, is that you have children, you have the power to leave the body happily, and you would be able to flourish in the world of Pitris because you would go back and talk to your ancestors and say, look, I have kids and they are going to have kids. Okay. All right. So you have a couple of stories. Sorry for the language of the stories that I have mentioned here. I'll come to that. So we have different stories. One is Duryodhana and his siblings. 100 siblings are there with the Duryodhana. So the whole story from here is going to revolve around the Kuru dynasty, okay, or the Kaurava dynasty, or the Pandava dynasty. The whole thing is called as Kuru Vamsha or Kuru dynasty. And under Kuru dynasty only we have Pandavas. Okay, so Pandavas did not have a name separately. It was the Kuru dynasty that they call it. And you have Pandavas, you have Duryodhana and his 100 siblings. Against them, there are five people, Pandavas. And you also have from the Uttara Ramayana, the Sagara Chakravarti. Sagara Chakravarti also had two wives. So, in the two wives, there's another story. We'll cover those stories now. So, Duryodhana. So, what is assumed right now, although we do not have the exact details of what Duryodhana's nakshatra was, Duryodhana was born a few days after, Yudhishthira was born. I mean, the Dharmaraja was born in Bharani Nakshatra. After a few days, this man Duryodhana was born. So Dharmaraja is always little elder to Duryodhana. What happened is Duryodhana, although we did not know the exact date of the star is not exactly mentioned, but a lot of traits match with the kind of Magha. So we lot of astrologers place him in Magha, and maybe there can be a few variations. For some might say he's born in Bharani itself. There are different people talking about different things. Like in the morning, Yudhishthira is born. In the evening, this man Duryodhana is born. So they share the same nakshatra. I'm not of that opinion. So I would think I would place Duryodhana in Magha, which a lot of people also, take this as well. So his parents, like if you look at the whole story of how Duryodhana was treated right from the childhood, if you look at any of the movies that were made or the serial that came in the DD, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, from that the Mahabharata, if you look at, although it's a long serial, how Duryodhana was brought up, everybody would know, or maybe you can read a few books or ask any of the search engines right now we have how he was brought up during childhood. What we can say is the father of Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra, who's the blind man. Okay, this also is a metaphor, if you ask me, because he was so blind for the child that he had, because a lot of many years the Dhritarashtra did not have children. If you look at these stories, every time the rajas or the kings did not have children. If you look at the whole Mahabharata story, it starts with not having children. Either the Pandu Raja, the father of Pandavas, and the Dhritarashtra did not have children. So they were weeping for children and they wanted children. However, Pandu Raja had a curse that he cannot have union with his any of his wives, and he would die off immediately the moment he gets into union. And with that curse, only the Pandu Raja dies. And we'll come to that story. So what we can see with Dhritarashtra is he did not have eyes. He brought up Duryodhana with a blind love, because you get to see the word called love is blind. So this man was blind for his child. Although Dhritarashtra knew that he ascended to the throne, Dhritarashtra was a blind man from birth. He did not do any wars. He did not wage any wars. His elder brother, Panduraja, waged a lot of wars, got a lot of wealth, gave all the wealth to Dhritarashtra, made him a king. Because this man did not want to be a king, he made him a king, and this man Panduraja went into the forests. So Dhritarashtra always knew that the Pandavas are going to be kings, but he was not happy with this stuff. He wanted his child to become the king, and he was blind for the love. And although he knew that this is not right, not very righteous thing to have his child to ascend to the throne, he always wanted Duryodhana to ascend to the throne. Although he might not have expressed it in front of Pandavas or anybody else, he always had this fascination in mind that somehow the Pandavas go away and my son becomes the king. Okay, this is not right. And okay, if had Duryodhana wanted him to be a king, there was a lot of land left. He could have waged wars with different other people, and maybe he could have won whatever he could. But that he did not do. He wanted only the kingdom which he got it, or whatever kingdom was available with the Panduraja and Dhritarashtra by then. He wanted only that. So, I mean, there can be a few variations. People might say the whole world was ruled by Pandavas and so on. So, I mean, let's not go into the intricacies of it. I mean, there could have been a better way of dealing with the problem, is what Dhritarashtra had he opined. So, if he wanted to, he could have dealt with the problem very differently. He did not do that. He only wanted his child to go up to the throne. Okay. This can be one problem in Magha, which I would say. I'm talking about the problems first. However, this particular nakshatra is very good for material success. Anybody who would want money, and if you would look at the symbols, look at the symbol. The symbol is a royal chair. You can see a chair which has got a lion over it. On even on the legs, you have got a lion, engrossed or engraved over. And you can find that this person is going to rule the world. So it can bring so much riches. If you have planets in Leo, Leo can make you extremely rich. Okay. Provided they are in the Magha and you have children. Okay. So the more the number of planets that you have in Magha and you have children, you are going to ascend to the throne. Okay. Anyway, you would have to always see what planets they are and so on. But more or less, if you look at, I mean, the first look is what you would look at, the planets in Leo. You have more planets in Leo, you have more chances of having, uh, especially with the Magha. Maybe you may have some problems with Purva Kalpani for sure. You may have some issues of not having enough success, etc., or getting delayed with the success, etc., with the Purva Kalpani. However, there can be a delay. That's what Purva Falguni can do, but it cannot stop you from ascending to the throne. For sure, you would ascend if you have more planets in Leo. So on the material side, yes, for sure, you have excellent riches from this. However, on the downside or the flip side, you have pampering of the father or the mother. हिंदी में लोग जो कहते हैं कि लाडला है, लाडली है, okay, that kind of pampering the person might get in childhood, that may lay foundations for sometimes that may lay foundations for the people of that particular nakshatra to develop jealousy, like what Duryodhana had attributes for. So not having enough power to win over, but to have winning something over by deceit, etc. So these are those traits that might come up. So anybody has planets in Leo, be careful, parents, not to pamper them too much. Yes, children are children, for sure you need to pamper them, but always make them aware of the world, that this is how the dharma runs. Okay, what is right and what is wrong. Okay, that's where at times parents might fall into a trap, because you want your children to be successful, which anyway is not wrong. However, unless they fall, okay, unless they fall, they do not understand how bad a fall can be, and they have to learn how to get back from a fall, or how to retract from a fall and stand up on their legs. If they have planets in in Magha, leave them in the ocean. Let them understand how to swim. Do not try to teach them swimming from a shore. Okay. The parents are trying to teach swimming from a shore. It's impossible to learn swimming from a shore. You have to get into the ocean or into a pool or somewhere where there is water. You cannot stand by a bay and keep talking about swimming or keep teaching about swimming. So if somebody has planets there, just be careful on that, on those lines. I'm not saying that everybody is going to do this, but have an understanding of what you can do wrong so that your children are growing up well. Pandavas. In case of Pandavas, what happened was the Pandavas were growing. They did not aspire to become kings, or when they knew. I mean, Dharmaraja knew, when Yudhishthira knew that okay, he would ascend to the throne eventually, but did not bother for it too much, nor talked about it too much to anyone. So it's the same thing. I mean, one who is capable would remain silent, and one who is not capable, he's talking too much. Okay, these two things can be possible. So if the person is talking too much, then you have a different kind of a thing. Okay, and he has too many friends because Duryodhana knew that he cannot defeat Pandavas. He tried to make friends with Karna. He tried to make friends with his own brothers. So he wanted all of his team to support him and wanted to ascend to the throne. Okay, so the lower is the friendship circle. It's good for Leo, or Leo is a kind of a star or a place, especially the Magha. Let's suppose you are a king. Would you call all of your people or friends and ask them to sit beside you on the throne? Because a king is just one. Everybody else would sit at least one level lower than the king. Even if his ministers are sitting, the ministers are going to sit at this level, at the level which is a little lower than what the king is sitting. But he will not allow anyone to share the chair or the throne with. Maybe he could share a throne for a couple of minutes, just as a you know what do you call felicitation of an achievement, but he may not share a throne forever. Okay, for a few moments he may share a throne just to encourage a person's talent, or things like that, but he may not share, and he would remain king. He would always show that, look, I'm a king. Okay, so the Leo, especially the Magha, spoils off when he has too many friends. Okay, so just be sure how the person is going to sway. All right. Okay. Then again, the other problem with this is if overcorrection from the parents. So if somebody gets to hear this, they're trying to overcorrect themselves. Do not try to overdo things. Have some patience, because there is one thing called karma, which keeps hovering around. Either you're there or not, it would keep hovering around. It will do whatever it has to do based on what we have done before. So if you look at the Pandavas, they were on the right track, however, and they would obviously ascend to the throne and things like that. But in both the cases, the parents were constantly uh, were crying for children. Okay, they were crying for children. They did not have children. They did not have the way to go about for children, and so on. Okay, right. So let's look at the mantra. I haven't covered the other story, which is of the Sagara Chakravarti, the Keshini, and the Sumati. I'll cover this mostly in Satabhisha. Okay, Satabhisha, we have a star Satabhisha, just exactly opposite to this Magha. You have Satabhisha, which also talks about children. Okay, we'll talk there most likely. So I'm not trying to repeat it. However, because it's not going to be very useful, the only thing I can say is the Sagaras were not able to ascend to the heaven because they did not have the right children and so on. So it's the same thing. I'll explain the mantra. You will get a clear understanding of what I'm trying to talk about. So the mantra is Pitrunam Magha Rudantaha Parastat Apabhramsho Avastat. I would always encourage to have to by heart these mantras, so that if you want to have the results spelled out, the mantras are going to help you like huge. There is no other alternative for this. It's good to remember, memorize these mantras, have them by heart. Pitrunam, it would mean the ancestors. So Pitru Rina. Pitru Rinam could be the the conjunction can be like Pitru Runam. So it would mean the Runa of the Pitris. So there are three kind of Rinas that a human being has to abide by as per the Vedas. One is the Deva Runa, the other is the Rishi Runa, the third is the Pitru Runa. You can Google these out. I'm not going into the Devarana or the Rishi Rana. I'm talking about the Pitru Rana now. You may have to Google out what these other two things are, because that will take a longer time. I do not want so long videos. So Pitrunam would mean the Rina of the Pitrus. So how would you get off the debt of the Pitris? Is getting married and then having children. It's very simple and straightforward. Is that you should not remain a bachelor or a spinster as per the Vedas if you want to satisfy the people who are your ancestors. Okay, as simple as that. Have a have a marriage, and the marriage is like a proper union. Your parents have agreed to the marriage. There's a proper union in the marriage, and then you have children. Okay, that's what is the Vedic culture. Okay, and unless children are born, uh, most of the times this nakshatra is not activated. Okay, 95% of the times, despite the fact that you may have so many planets, very good positions, 9th, 10th lord combinations, this, that, and so on. If you do not have children, this star is not going to activate, and they're not going to deliver any results. You'll get a zero out of the results, or you may get negative results as well, but they are very very rare. Okay, usually you don't get a very negative result from Magha. It's not very usual, unless everything else is against the person. Um, Usually Magha will either deliver a good result or would remain a zero. Okay, but will not give you a negative one. Magha, the royal throne. Okay, if you look at the meaning of Magha from any dictionary that you would pick up, either in a language like Sanskrit or in a language like Malayalam or Telugu, it would mean Magha would mean reward. Okay, the old language where the roots are from the Sanskrit, such languages would mean Magha would mean a reward. So the reward is, if the Pitris are happy, there is a reward. That's what it would say. Rudantaha apabhramsho. These are the other two words which you would pick up from the mantra. That is Pitrunam Magha Rudantaha Parastat apabhramsho avastha. So when the Pitris are happy, they're going to reward you. However, there is some crying by the native for some respect and success, because the native is constantly putting efforts to be successful. That's one good thing in this nakshatra. The person is constantly putting some efforts to be successful first, and there can be a few insults the person is going through, especially from the children or from the wife or from the loved ones, because all these five, the fifth house, I mean, naturally, Leo is the fifth house from the natural zodiac. So the fifth house would represent a love partner, that's a wife, or a child of yours, or a subordinate, uh, or anybody for that matter who's a kith and kin of yours, not giving you enough respect. I mean, you think you deserve more respect, but I'm not getting so much. This can be a problem of the native himself, but because he does not portray himself to be a king, because a king is with the people. Okay, the king is with the people. He's trying to solve the problems of the people, and people are taking an advantage of him. Okay, so after having done everything, the person is feeling that I tried to help all these people, and I'm capable of many things. I came down a few steps and said, okay, I'm equal to all of you, and they are trying to take an advantage of me and not giving me enough respect. I'm a father. The child of me is not giving me enough respect. I'm a manager. The subordinate of me is not giving me enough respect. Okay. So the portrayal of the person himself is giving a perceived value. You understand perceived value, right? So the perceived value of the person is going down a little bit, for which the native is feeling for it. And you have the apabhramsho, would mean literally falling off, off a height. I mean, falling off a height or a status or a position. That's what apabhramsho would mean. So it can be in two different ways, wherein the person has really fallen off from a height. He's standing on a building and he slipped off the building. Okay, this can be one thing. Or maybe he slipped off somewhere and his head has touched the ground. Okay, what would apabhramsho would mean is falling, head touching the ground due to a fall, like a trip or a slip that we would call trip is the right word, I would believe, tripping or slipping off. This can also mean that a person who has worked like a king. Okay, you can take examples like, let's suppose the 2 terms of an American president is over, he cannot come back and fight elections, right? 2 terms are over, so he has to go back and live a life, whatever life he would prefer. So this person of a Magha state, of a Magha thing, is gonna go back, would never touch politics again. Okay, he would not campaign, or he would not support his party, or he would not bother what's happening around in the politics, what is happening in the country, despite the fact that he must have done so many things for his political party while he was in the power or in the politics all around his career. He would not bother about what's happening around once he's off the position, because he's fallen off from his status of an ex-president or an ex-prime minister with a Magha active person. Okay, he is not going to bother about anything that's happening around in that particular domain. Although at one point in time he must have ruled it. Okay, or you can just take a simple person who's worked as a principal in a college, and could be a lion or a lioness while he or she was the principal. And after she got retired from the job, he would have never thought about going back to the school or the college where she worked, and she doesn't have any contacts with any of them, and she's just living a simple living, a very frugal living. It's not bothered about what's happening around in the college, or she must have started a lot of projects while she was in the college. She wouldn't go back and bother about what's happening there. Okay, this is another way of looking at it. So losing the status and not getting back into the status, or if you just look at the seventh house connections, if there is a divorcee for whatever reason, okay, divorce can happen due to the planets, the placements of the planets. When we talk about Navamsha, I'll explain it to you in detail. Or for whatever reason, if a divorce happens to a person, wherein the seventh connections are there with Magha Nakshatra, it becomes extremely difficult for this native to go back into a position of a married person once again, because the status right now is a divorcee. To change the status back into a married man or a woman would be like a very uphill task for him. Okay, most likely 90% of the times it's impossible. Okay, there can be a few exceptions, wherein the other planets or the Navamsha is going to help bring in the dashas which are favoring the marriage, the second marriage which I'm talking about. In that cases, it can be erected back once again to a status which was lost. Otherwise, bringing back the status is almost not there. Okay, so as I said, if the native is childless for any reason, this nakshatra may not work well. Okay, so Pitru Rina is very important to be addressed, which has to be addressed. I mean, having children for sure has to be there for getting riches. If you're not getting riches and if you don't have children, just look for planets here. There might be some obstructions wherein there are very good yogas around here, but all of them have become defunct because you don't have children. Okay, the nakshatra is well rewarding when connected to the positions of 10th, 5th, and so on, because the 10th house would mean status, right? Everybody knows that the first house and the 10th house are going to bring you fame and status. So if these, are connected to the Magha, the first or the 10th or the 5th, even sometimes even the 5th, could bring you good status. Um, it can elevate you in positions on the mostly social status. That's what I would say. On the social status would mean richest thing. I mean, poor and the rich. That's the social status, right? So would make the person to be richer. And you have afflictions to Magha Nakshatra. Then you have the problem is the respect thing. I'm not getting enough respect from my juniors. Anybody who has to obey me, like my wife. I mean, depending on the culture where you're living in, because in India it's expected that wife and children are below the man. It's a usual expectation. I mean, feminists be away from the thing, but that's general expectation that the person who's earning the family is the head of the family, and everybody is trying to follow him. So that's one thing. You might be thinking, I mean, there may not be a great thing wherein, he's trying to fight each other for not having respect, etc. It may not be there. However, this person might be weeping silently when nobody is around and trying to think over what did I do wrong because I'm the king. Why am I not getting enough respect? What did I do wrong? Whereas if I compare it to the other person who might have not done much to their wife, children, and subordinates, but he's still earning a lot of respect. He does not even treat them well, whereas I'm treating them so well. Why am I not being respected so much? Okay, this is one thing which is still lacking. Okay, and as I said, the other thing is for falling from height, just in case somebody falls off a height or something. Magha is one thing which is responsible. So I'm not saying you have a Lagna Lord in Magha, it would mean a fall from a height. No, I mean don't be so mean on yourself. Or it's not so straightforward thing. Okay, so you need a lot of things because height is from ninth house, 10th house. Because if you look at the height, then you need the ninth house. So somebody can fall off the height. It means that either the Sagittarius, the ninth house, the Jupiter, the Sun, all of these things are going to play a role. Okay, so there have to be reflections on all these the Sagittarius, the Jupiter, the Sun, and you have the ninth house. All three or all four should have very good afflictions for having a bigger incident of trying to fall off from a height or something like that. Usually, Magha would mean the metaphor of it. I mean, falling off a status. Okay, so somebody does not have children or trying to be, on the adharma side, which is not the right path. Then there can be a fall off from the status. Okay, and more or less, yes, this is what is the nakshatra. Let's also look at the symbols, as I said, like the male throne. I'm sorry, the royal throne is uh, is the royalty that the person is going to get. This nakshatra is going to bring in a lot of riches. Okay, look at people who have riches. One example is this man. I always try to explain it to people whenever I talk about Magha. I keep showing up. I keep showing up this one. Give me a second. Okay. Yeah, this one. This is the horoscope of Chiranjeevi. You can see Mars is in Magha. You have Venus in Magha. You have, yes, two planets, Mars, Venus in Magha. Sun also is in Magha, sorry. So the dispositor of the 11th house being in the 11th house, okay, and it also has two more planets which are in Magha. You can see at one point in time, this man Chiranjeevi dominated the whole industry of Telugu for about 2.5 decades. For sure, he was the king. He did not allow anyone to take his position. So the kind of wonders that Magha made for him is having three planets, and most importantly, Magha is in the sun is in the Magha Nakshatra. So the 11th house also is placed so well. And if you see, Chiranjeevi has got into riches only after he has got his first child. His film started to become more accepted only after he has got the Magha activated. Okay, that's what you can look at his life story. So I mean, little. Whenever I get into Magha, I always remember this person because he's been doing movies for quite long before marriage, maybe about 3-4 years. Although he's displayed very good acting, success only came after he got married and he had children. Okay, so that's how powerful Magha can be. Okay, and this man is a very soft-spoken man. Although he was the king, usually what people say, I mean, this is what I heard about. I might be wrong because what often is portrayed on the screen when something happens, we don't know what is the reality. However, what we can look at is he's a social person. He's a more friendly person. He would not show that he's the Badshah or the king, but he's a very kind of person who would accommodate anyone along with him and treat people well and stuff like that. So sometimes this can overturn them when they are alone. They might think, why am I not getting enough respect in the thing? I mean, he must have felt for sure when he lost the elections. I mean, I thought I would win, but he had not won much of it, and he had to leave politics altogether. Now, if you look at this man when he started the political party, he was all up for it. He was in the active politics for about, I don't know, maybe 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, or whatever. And once that term is over, he has declared himself that, look, I'm out of politics. I would not want to be in politics anymore. Whoever wins, I do not care much. Okay. So he's not looking at into any of that thing. Okay. So the other thing is a male rat. Okay. A male rat. As I said, I mean, rats are for reproduction. So if you have a male rat and a female rat at a place, just come back after a few days. There will be many rats all around. That's what rats can do. They are very good at reproducing. All the rodents, I mean, these make furrows and they live, in the furrows. So all these rodents are very good at reproduction. So these people are very capable of reproduction. So any afflictions here would always mean that there is something wrong with the reproduction cycle or things like that. Maybe you have to look at Leo as well when you're looking for children. So very afflicted Leo, sometimes people may not have children. Okay. So we're not talking much about the special degrees that we would do once we get hold of all these nakshatras. In the second round of nakshatras, we will talk about the special degrees. We also will talk about the padas of each of the nakshatra. Like Magha has 4 padas for the 4 quarters. So we'll talk about them once the whole one round is over. And that would even explain you will have fascinating details of what each pada, how each pada is very different. Okay, actually, do not think that all the 4 padas are going to give you a single result. The other madam who asked, why not we consider, all the Venus nakshatras to be one or the Saturn nakshatras to be one. Actually, we should not even consider all the 4 quarters of Magha to be one. So, if you look at that case, then it's very difficult to actually generalize the rules or the traits for Magha itself. That's why most of the people did not write enough lines about it. about any of the nakshatras because it's too difficult to describe them. However, now writing has become easier and distribution as well has become easier with the advent of internet. You have everything. I mean, you can put this across on your computer and it's visible to everyone across the globe. So once that happened, and you're not trying to harm the environment as well. So we are not using even a paper or a tree or anything. So let's do that as well once we have all the once we have all the 27 nakshatras covered, we'll talk about what each pada is doing, and we can extend results from based on that. I'll try to explain you the logic. It will take some more time there. And if you ask me, if you learn all the nakshatras, all the 27 into 4, all the padas, 108, I don't think anything will escape out of it. Nothing goes out. So you will filter everything and get only one result. Okay, we have to reach that extent. Then that will become a flawless thing. You would not have to bother about anything else. No matter you are looking at D60, D90, D100, D150. Yes, we will also talk about them. I'm not saying we will not. We'll also talk about them. We will even go till D150. Okay, why only D60? We also will talk about the Devakera element and stuff like that, for sure. But the baseline is this. If you don't have the base energy proper, if the foundation is not clear, then you will just hover around D60, D150 and all that. But as the rolling stone gathers no mass, you would end up knowing nothing. So the idea is we are at the first chapter of the first sentence that Parashara has talked. So the first, so how are we dealing with the houses is that we will look at the dispositor of a house lord, and then the cusp of a house to be very important, and then comes the lord of a house. In case of Chiranjeevi, why I said this to be very true is because the sun is in Magha. So sun is the dispositor of Mars, Mercury, and Venus. Now, if you see, Venus is the first lord and the eighth lord. Mars is the second lord and the seventh lord, and Mercury is the ninth lord and the 12th lord, and Sun is the 11th lord himself. So Sun is actually dispositing 1, 2, 3, 3 twos are 6 plus 1, 7 positions Sun is dispositing into Magha. Okay, so it would mean that he is a very powerful man. Okay, so the dispositor is always important. So had this dispositor Sun, despite having all these planets here in the Leo, had the Sun not been in Magha but in Purva Phalguni, the whole result is going to be entirely different. You are not going to get any of these results. Actually, he would remain a struggling actor. Okay, just with the Sun moving on, exactly this same whole thing. If you just move it to another 10 or 15 days later, the person is going to only be a struggling actor. Okay, because of the Purva Phalguni, which I'll explain in the next week.
Sir?
Yes. Yes,
In
I'm
the
hearing.
chart, actually, you said sun has like 7 places. I did not understand that point.
So Sun is the dispositor of first house and the eighth house. That's two places, right? So he's influencing two planets, two positions, because Venus is the lord of first house and the eighth house. Do you reckon that?
Yeah.
Okay. So Venus, who is dispositing Venus? It's the Sun, right? So Sun is actually influencing the first house and the seventh house, being the dispositor of the first and the eighth lord, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, Mars is lording the second house and the seventh house, and Mars is again disposited by the Sun. So that's another two positions. The first house, second house, seventh house, eighth house, ninth house, and 12th house, six houses, plus the Sun himself. There are 7 positions. Sun is actually influencing very much.
Understood. Yeah.
Okay. And what would you reckon from these 7 positions? One is first house would mean status. Okay. So somebody's first house disposition gets into Magha along with the first lord as well as in Magha. So it would mean a huge status, right? I'm trying to just decode each thing for you now because you've asked the question. It's more easier to talk from here. See, when you have planets in front of you, than to have a blank chart like this wherein you don't have any planets. I'll talk from here. See, first house status, 10th house status. Everybody knows this, right? So, first house, first lord is Venus. Venus is in Magha. This everybody has understood. The dispositor of Venus is the first lord dispositor is Sun. Again in Magha, it would mean a huge status, right? The only condition here is, uh, you know, what is that? It should not be afflicted with uh, bad planets. The advantage for this man, the Libra sign is uh, no planet is bad for Libra because Libra is the balancing sign. Okay, Libra does not consider any of the planet to be bad. Libra considers all the planets equally. That's the only advantage for the Libra. When we get into the positions of the Rashis, I'll explain to you. Otherwise, let's suppose you have a Capricorn Lagna. Okay, you have a Capricorn Lagna, then your eighth lord will be the dire malefic for Saturn because Saturn and Sun would not go along. They don't like each other. So if Sun gets into Magha, it's an affliction for Magha because it's the right Lagna for the person and what should I say? It's the balanced lagna for the person. There is no dire malefic kind of a thing for even Jupiter as well. Is not a dire malefic for Libra. You can still think he is half a malefic because by natural signification, Jupiter is the only benefic planet. So despite the fact that he lords the third and the sixth houses, he's extremely benefic naturally. So that's that. I mean, I'll teach you those intricacies when we get into the Rashis. But on the surface level, if you look at Sun is dispositing the second and the seventh house. The seventh house is the competition. Okay, sixth and seventh houses deal with the competition and the world. So the opposite world with you. I mean, how the kind of performance because this is a performer's chart. Chiranjeevi is an actor, so he's trying to perform in front of an audience. And the audience are happy because it's in Magha. Audience think he's the king. Okay. Second house would mean again money. So the money is king. In the family is the king. Okay. Then if you try to observe the 10th house, 10th lord is moon. Look at the dispositor of the 10th lord. Dispositor of 10th lord again is Mercury. Mercury is in Purva Phalguni. Okay, but there are so many planets around with Sun. Okay, so Magha is more dominating than Purva Phalguni. The 10th Lord, Purva Phalguni, had given him some time to adjust to the industry. It took like 6, 7 years, if I'm not wrong, ever since he started struggling, and it took some time for him. That's the delay that you can see with the 10th Lord Dispositor being in Mercury. Or he's been a struggling actor for about, I don't know how many years, whatever they are. So ever since he came into the industry, cinema. We'll talk about Purva Phalguni in the next class, so I would not emphasize much on it. So Sun is trying to be the dispositor of all these things. And ninth house, the ninth lord is in Purva Phalguni, but the dispositor is in Magha. So this man has easily become the king. Anybody has any questions? I'm still open. You can ask me anything. Unless you ask, the problem is I would think you're able to follow it during the class. So for any of these houses to function well, the only baseline is the person has to have children. Anybody who is unfortunately do not have children may not have any result from here, despite the fact that he may have many Raj Yogas and things like that. And the funny part here is, no matter whatever these things do, like the 8th house, 12th house, or anything, usually it would give you only riches. Okay, it's not the case. Let's suppose you take Pushyami, you have the 6th Lord Dispositor and Pushyami. It's not very good because it may increase your debts or it may increase your diseases, or it may increase your enemies, or I don't know, for that matter, any of the negative things as well, it can increase. However, with the case of Magha, it's not like that. Against your competition, it is going to put you into good position. That's what the Magha is all about. So even the sixth lord, or the eighth lord, or the 12th lord, any of these things go in, it would still work very well. Okay. And it tries to keep you in the limelight. Okay. Magha is something that will bring you to light. So if you are in the limelight for good reasons, yes, that's very good. But if you're known to the public for bad reasons, for bad fame, for some crime that you have committed, even that can be shown up in Magha. Okay. So by some or something, either due to good fame or bad fame, you are in the limelight due to Magha. Okay. Anybody has any questions? Any comments? Are they working, or you think they are not? Any questions are welcome. Any feedback is always welcome.
I'm sorry. So on that
Yeah,
chart, like his
yeah, go ahead.
the sixth lord in Ashlesha,
Okay.
but no problems with the ears, or I mean no diseases as such. Like
Look, your dispositor is more important. So if the sixth lord is in Aslesha, it doesn't mean anything. Okay. Luckily, there are no planets in the Sagittarius or in the Pisces. So Jupiter, although being in Aslesha, can only mean one thing. He's only preserving his wealth and the competition or the work that he has done. See, sixth house can mean two, three things, right? One is the routine work that he has done. He's into Aslesha. So he has, what is that? He has, what do you get from Aslesha? What are the serpents doing? Passing on it to the next generations, right?
inheritance. Yeah.
So he has varisas, or he has people who are like his son is again into acting. His nephew is into acting, right? They are superstars. The man Allu Arjun is his nephew. He's into acting. So his routine work has provided Aslesha to the people, his children, or I mean his child or his nephew. That's what you can look at it from Aslesha.
The same thing with sibling also, maybe third house.
Same thing with sibling as well. Yes, third house. So Pawan Kalyan right now will be Deputy Chief Minister of the state, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, do not think Aslesha would definitely have a hearing problem for sure. No, you may not get that unless from 3-4 places you get to see. You have to see first the affliction. Where is the affliction? Okay. What I would say is Aslesha being Jupiter being in Aslesha is actually putting up his sight onto Shravana, okay, the opposite sign. Here there is Shravana Nakshatra in the Capricorn, right? Jupiter has a direct aspect on it, so it is actually enhancing the Shravana. That's why I said, despite the fact that Jupiter is the third, sixth lord, for a for an ascendant of Libra, he's not a dire malefic. Okay, unless there are malefic things strongly, and just not from one position, you get to see the sixth lord. Even the Aslesha is not definitely not going to give you. I mean, you cannot say it for sure that there is a hearing thing. There is also one more nakshatra here in this Ravana. None of these nakshatras are very afflicted. Actually, the Shravana is protected by Jupiter, because wherever Jupiter goes, it protects the whole thing. I mean, still, it's a good question. It's a good question. I mean, I'm not disparaging the questioner. Okay, ask these questions. Any question is all right. So always look at all the traits, because the snakes do not have legs. The snakes do not have ears. So why you said only legs? Why is not paralyzed? You can even ask that question. So for that to happen, you need dire afflictions to it. I don't see any affliction in the chart. The advantage is no chart, I mean, no house is very afflicted. If you ask me, okay, I'll give you one more thumb rule. The thumb rule is, if a single house is being uh, influenced by two big planets like the Jupiter and the Saturn. Now, Saturn is actually casting its aspect on the 10th house. Saturn has a 10th aspect. So, Saturn is aspecting the 10th house where Jupiter is placed. It is going to give you very fruitful results. Okay. This is a thumb rule wherein the 10th house right now has Jupiter, has a Saturn aspect. Two big planets are casting their shadows over one house. They're going to put a lot of pressure on the person. He's going to work over and he's going to get results out of it because these two are big planets. They're going to sit heavy on him and they're going to bring in responsibility. So it's a good sign for either the ninth house or the 10th house. With two planets, both Jupiter and Saturn are aspecting ninth house, 10th house. So this is a very good thing because he's going to put a lot of pressure on his own self and trying to excel so that, you know, he comes up in life. Okay. You can also look at what else have we seen here. You can see Brahmashira, there is Ketu, but the problem with these shadow planets like the Ketu or the Rahu, unless they are along with another planet, they're not going to do anything. Okay, now Ketu is alone. There's there is no planet. And have you ever seen the funniest thing? Ketu and Rahu, if you see, if you do not tell this to any person and you go and show it to some astrologer, he will say there is a Kalasarpa Yoga. All these planets are in between Rahu and Ketu. The person is not going to excel at all. Never happened. This man became, the king. Right? He still has market. He's still taking. I mean, he's still making movies. Right, sir. You have more questions?
No, sir.
I mean, I appreciate that. I mean, you asked a question. Why is that? Something not happens wrong with the astrology. I mean, unless such questions are asked, you cannot get out of these myths. Otherwise, they'll keep hovering around, and you wouldn't get anything. Okay, I appreciate more people to ask questions. So for the falling from height, okay, I don't know if I've explained it enough. For falling off from height, you have to have two, three things, as I said. One is the ninth house involvement, okay, and affliction, more importantly, because somebody has to have a physical injury, one has to have an affliction, big affliction that would show that he may fall off height. I mean, if you can bring specific examples to the table, that's when let's suppose somebody fell off a building. Okay, he met with an accident because he just fell off a cliff, or I mean, he would still survive. Okay, in this case, even if he falls off somewhere, I mean, I'm not talking about a cliff. Somebody falls off the first floor of a building, more chances of survival, right? Or two floors of a building. I know a case where a where a small child, about 10 years or 11 years old, a girl fell off, I think, the second floor, and she survived after having been in the hospital for about 10 days, I would believe. Okay, long back. So 99.9% of the times, the fall is the person survives. Okay, unless there are very big afflictions, the ninth house is all gone. There is no protection from anywhere because ninth house, the ninth lord, are also the protectors. Okay, the fact that the ninth house is causing the fall here, but it will also protect the native. Okay, that's a thumb rule because ninth house is the guard, right? Who brought us here? Ninth house, we have the guard. So he's going to protect us. Usually, ninth house is the protector. A few places this may not work. A few things may contradict. So don't jump over and say, "Oh, this is not working." In some cases, it may not work because this is a very big big thing for a fall to happen or something like that. I'll try to find any horoscope if it comes up. But have an understanding, or maybe you can search through the web. If somebody fell off from some place who happens to be a star kid or something like that, if there is enough data of accuracy, birth data accuracy, if it's there, pick such people and put them through this, and then see if Magha, ninth house, uh, what else did I tell you? Sagittarius, all these are, you can see. One thing I can see is the Saturn's drishti, or the Saturn's aspect on Sagittarius. Okay, so that also I can say that also contributed for the fall, for Chiranjeevi not being successful in the politics. Because when the Jupiter is exalted, you have peace in life, because Cancer is the peace-causing sign. I'm trying to explain a few intricacies. If somebody don't follow it, try to hear once again. These are not very easy things to understand. In one go, they won't come. If you look at Sagittarius, okay, Sagittarius, we will get to those nakshatras in a few days. But Sagittarius is a war-causing sign. So somebody gets into a war, you have Sagittarius. Sagittarius, if you look at the symbol, it's a dhanush, a bow with a half man and a half animal. Somebody is teaching, and you also see the ninth house, the natural ninth house is Sagittarius. So there you have teachers. Teachers are like teaching archery. In olden days, what teachers used to teach to the kings was the first thing is archery and the dharma shastras. Why would a king has to learn dharma shastras and archery is because so he has to follow the dharma and also know the the war tricks, or how to wage a war and things like that. Because if somebody attacks you, you at least have some defense. And it's important for kings to defend themselves in their kingdom. Now, you have a Jupiter exalted. It means that the Sagittarius is weak. Okay, your Sagittarius is dying if your Jupiter is exalted. It's very simple. Wherever the Sagittarius is weak because the Jupiter is exalted. The more the exaltation the Jupiter has, the weak is the Sagittarius. I mean, it's a little blessed, but it's in the 21 degree of Asphasia because Jupiter exalts in the first, third, fourth degree, wherein right, fourth or fifth degree, right? Jupiter's exaltation. So wherein this Jupiter is in 21 degree. So if Jupiter is in extreme exaltation, it means that the Sagittarius is very weak. Okay, and you may get negative results from Sagittarius. But in this case, if you see the third house, this man Pavan Kalyan could win only the second time. Okay, that's because Jupiter is in exaltation. I mean, you can only connect a few dots from here because you're just looking at somebody else's horoscope to actually look at somebody else's performance. Oh.
Sir, can you explain the 10,000 Gandanta? How do
10th
we,
Lord,
how do we
10th Lord in the Gandanta, are you saying? The moon thing?
Yeah. How can
No.
we understand that?
Okay. So this the moon, right? Moon is not in Gandanta because as long as the nakshatra is going into the next Rashi as well, do not consider that as a Gandanta. Okay, because Chitta or Chitra nakshatra second pada uh, moon is placed, right? Chitta second pada. Now Chitta second pada falls in Virgo. There are two more padas that are extending into the next Rashi, right? So this does not mean a Gandanta. A Gandanta would only come at the juncture of the Cancer and the Leo, and then the Scorpio and the Sagittarius, and the Pisces and the Aries. Of all these Gandantas, once again, the one which is between the Scorpio and the Sagittarius is the most difficult one. Because in the Scorpio, the final nakshatra is Jyeshtha, which is ruled by Indra. Okay, Indra is like Vishnu or the god. And the first nakshatra of Sagittarius is Moola. Mula is ruled by a Rakshasi called as Nirruti. Okay. Ruti means order. Nirruti means nothing is orderly. Okay. There is chaos. Chaotic is opposite to the order, right? So Nirruti. Now, um, I mean, if it's little high level, I'll try to keep as low as possible on the level. But do not worry about any of the other Gandharthas. Always worry about a planet which is placed in the 1/4 of the 1/4 of either of these two signs. That would mean any planet placed at 0 degree 50 seconds inside in the Sagittarius, or 29 degree 10 minutes of the Scorpio. Okay. To just tell you what it would mean is, I'll just show you. Let me just roll this back. Now see, this is at this Jeshta of 29 degree 56, right? So from 29 degree 10 minutes of Jeshta to 0 degree 50 minutes of Moola. Okay, this is the biggest Ganda, because there is a god and there is a demon. On one side there is god, the other side is a demon, and they are fighting each other. Elsewhere, it's not so. If you see the current thing which we have just crossed over, Aslesha has Balarama in it, and there is Krishna in the next nakshatra. So there is a carry forward. Okay, so it's not uh, uh, as bad as this one. Is your question answered?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So what does bad would mean? So first thing due to Gandanta can be, first thing is it's a Balarishta. Balarishta would mean death to the native. Okay. Death to the native or death to the father. So the moment you see, can we jump over and say the person is going to die? No. Okay. There are a lot of set conditions. The death has to be seen to a child. I mean, the child is going to die primitively before attaining adulthood is what uh, you know the understanding would mean. However, you have to have lagna, you have to have moon, and you have to have sun, all in difficult critical positions. And if the person has to die, there has to be a disease, right? And you also have to locate a disease wherein the sixth lord is in the eighth house, the eighth lord is in the sixth house, because these things would mean the sixth lord in the eighth house would mean, do not think it's a Viprita Raja Yoga. It is a disease which is underlying for a long time, because eighth house would mean a disease which is existing for a long time, and sixth house would mean a disease. So sixth lord, eighth lord in conjunction, sixth lord with the eighth lord, sixth lord in the eighth house, eighth lord in the sixth house. Do not think there are any, what is that called as Viparita Raja Yoga. Those are not the things for Kali Yuga, or the kind of uh, the things that we are living in, because when there were Rajas, when there were kingdoms, the king, whoever wins over, is going to get everything of the other kingdom into his kingdom. He's going to get the wealth, he's going to get the women and everything into his kingdom. So someone else's defeat is going to be his success. But today, there are no kingdoms, first thing. Second is, you are not a king. Okay, you are just an ordinary human being. So for a king, the result is different. For an ordinary human being, the result is different. For an ordinary human being, sixth lord in the eighth house is bad. Okay, eighth lord in the sixth house is bad. It would mean there is a, I mean, you can take simple diseases for these days like sugar, lifestyle diseases, thyroid, what else? Blood pressure. What is the other one? Cholesterol. There is no medicine. There is no heal for this, right? There is no cure for this. You would be given a medicine for a sugar thing, or the diabetes thing, or the blood pressure thing. You have to keep taking these pills all through your life. There's no way you can get rid of it. Or it can be an underlying tumor, malignant tumor, or something which is actually eating away eating you off. Okay, which would show up after some time. Only considerable part of yours is gone. That's when it is going to show up, because the eighth house would mean hidden thing. It is not visible to outside world. So it is going to take a longer time. So you're going to look at the Gandantas. If let us suppose somebody has the Lagna, the Sun, the Moon, all three falling in the Gandantas. Now I will look at what kind of Gandantas are they? Are they falling? If the Lagna falls here, okay, for sure I would be very careful. What I can say, I would not want to show that horoscope here, but I'll just quote uh, that horoscope, wherein there is a Jupiter in the Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius is the Lagna. There is Jupiter in the Lagna. The moment people see own planets, I mean own house planets, they will jump in joy. Oh wow, he has the Lagna Lord and the Lagna itself. Yes, super. Yeah, that's right. But the Lagna is at exactly on the cusp. Okay, 29 degree 59. If you just put, maybe 10 seconds here and 10 seconds there, you would have 0010. This is a big problem. Okay, so do not think just from the superficial lines. I'm not trying to scare you off. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, do not go by what is just visible to the first look. Just go a little deeper. Something is very rosy. It means there's something wrong with the whole thing. Do not go by rosy things. Hope I made some sense. Did you get some understanding of what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So look at all three things: the sun, the moon, the lagna, the sixth, the eighth, because there has to be an underlying disease for the person to go away. I mean, if the person is not dying off, okay, there is nothing much that the Gandanta is actually affecting. And if you're talking about planets other than the sun, the moon, and the lagna, if there are general planets which are on the Gandanta side, they may give one or two bad results, which happen to everyone in their lives. You tell me one person who has lived a life without any difficulty. The Every person takes a human form only to face difficulties. That's what the Shastras say. Human form is the only form which will feel difficulty despite the fact that he gets food every day, he gets to sleep every day. Human is the only person who can feel that I would need more. No other animal in the world would look at what is there after 5 years. It is only going to live today. Tomorrow, it is hopeful of the fact that it will get food. Only animal in the world right now is human, who's worried about 5 years down the line what's going to happen, or 10 years down the line what's going to happen. That's why a human form, person is asking the God, I need a human form because I want to suffer. Okay, I mean, take this in the positive, but don't think otherwise. So there can be a few bad results in the life. It's not going to affect much. Don't be worried if you have one planet in the end degrees. And I've just have shown up the chart of Chiranjeevi, this man. Okay, look at the moon. Okay, you've asked about the moon. Now let me come back to moon here. Moon is in Chitra second pada. You think it is in Ganda? I would say, because the moon is in Chitra, this person is so detail oriented in the kind of act he is doing on the scene. I mean, let's look at his dances, right? I've talked about his dance for oscillation. The sixth house and the third house. Third house is a skill. Sixth house is is practice. One is he has practiced dance a lot. Okay, so that's why he has the sixth lord in the Aslesha, which would mean dancing. The dispositor is in Chitra. Chitra is like detailing, right? You have a very good eye for detailing. He's very specific about the kind of movements he's making in the dance. Okay. Now Chitra is very detail oriented. He needs what comes up later. Okay, I'm doing this step. He'll go to the Korea. I don't know. I'm just guessing the way his dances come out. He'll go quickly to the choreographer and he would ask, okay, the master, what is the next thing that is going to come up? Teach me that. So he's very clear on detail oriented. He wants to look at each of the things in detail, the intricacies of the whole thing. So the moon is actually helping him being in Chitra. Because Chitra is very botherful about this the smallest detail. This man bothers the smallest detail of everything. He wants to know everything in detail. Okay, this can stand both positive and negative because if you're trying to rule a whole empire, in case of let's suppose a politics, somebody is aspiring to be a CM, a chief minister, he is like trying to rule the whole place. And if he's very bothered and specific about the smallest things of one particular thing, he may miss out the bigger picture, okay, on the negative side. However, in the kind of act he is in for a cinema, how am I portraying myself on the screen? And if he's into the detail of everything, it is going to show up like, a miracle on the screen. Did you get me?
Yeah.
So, I mean, do not look at things on the surface. Have an understanding of the nakshatra. That's what I'm saying. So, the moon in the chitra is actually trying to help him rather than, being in a gandanta. It's not a gandanta. Okay. First thing is, none of these are gandantas. Do not worry about any planet in gandanta from now, except for the fact that if it is in the cusp which I have just shown, wherein the 50 degrees before and the 50 degrees after, that the imaginary line that you have drawn between Scorpio and Sagittarius, 50 minutes here, 50 minutes here and 50 minutes there of the first and the last degrees of Scorpio and Sagittarius. Other than that, just even don't bother. And the other interesting fact which you're forgetting is moon being the Atmakaraka, it's very fast, right? The dance steps have to be fast. And Chiranjeevi is known for one of the fastest dances. Okay, so moon being an Atmakaraka, ruling the sixth lord would make the dance movements faster. Okay, I mean you can draw many more things from these positions. I mean, if you just show me this chart and ask me 100 questions, I'll give you 100 answers just sitting here. The other thing is moon is the Atmakaraka, right? So based on that as well, you will get a lot of things. So the person is spiritual. The person is trying to understand what I have to do. What is the purpose of my life? That's moon. Okay. And he's sensitive. If somebody says something to him, he would get offended very easily. I mean, this you would only know when you are very close to him, only into his inner circles. And he would want discipline because moon is looking at constantly running at a single speed. Moon, sun, these people are disciplined. They're constantly running. They're not running back, right? These planets are not retrograde. So being those planets having as an Atmakaraka would mean discipline. So getting up on time, reaching this set on time, and stuff like that. I mean, you can keep talking on this horoscope for hours together. I mean, thanks once again for bringing up the point wherein if it's in Gandanta. I mean, I would have to thank you.
No problem.
Because unless you ask me the question, because I have known the fact that this is not in the Gandanta, so I wouldn't even go by it. Only when I see planets around the Scorpio and then the Sagittarius, that's when I would lit up my eyes. Okay, is there something in the Gandanta? Otherwise, nothing would bother me across there and here. Okay. I mean, just in case something I forget, I always catch it up in the next class. So have an eye on the next class as well. Almost every time that you hear to one of these nakshatras, have an eye on the next class as well. If something is missed out here, it will be covered there.
Usually, while we are analyzing a chart, can we consider, for example, like I know you don't follow the Vimshottari pattern, but still, suppose if for one lagna, the sun is in the 10th lord star, then can we consider that he is in a good position, or like can we consider him as in 10th house? Something like that based on the stars? Because I am hearing this a lot from other sources.
So if I have understood you correctly, you're asking if sun is in the 10th house. Is that right?
No, sir. No, for example, how to say, okay, if it is Aries Lagna,
okay,
and sun is somewhere, like maybe let's have not 5th house, but some 9th house or somewhere else. But he is in the 10th Lord, Saturn star. Usually we say that Sun is, we consider exalted or in a good position if he is in 10th place, right? 10th house, Sun and Mars. That's
Okay.
good position for them. So if they are in the 10th Lord stars, even then we can consider that they are in the 10th house. Does that like really work in the case if we, I mean, as long as the stars are concerned, can we consider that? Or no, it doesn't work like that.
Okay. So if you did not know what the Adi Devatas, right now we are learning the Adi Devatas. Like example, we have Magha, the Pitris. If you did not know that the Magha belongs to Pitris, I would appreciate, okay, you consider Magha to be Ketu. This is what we were doing 15 years back when we did not know that Parashara mentioned the all the deities for each of the nakshatra. And the first chapter of the Brihat Parashara Shastra is the only chapter that person has to read. And after the first chapter is over, there is nothing more that you would be able to read because all the generic things are all mentioned in the first chapter itself. After you have completed the first chapter, which will take about 1.5 years, I don't think there is anything more to study. I mean, if you did not know that the Magha belongs to Pitris, you would think, okay, it's a Ketu star, so wherever Ketu would rule, assuming Scorpio is ruled by Ketu, you would fix whatever Scorpio is ruled by with respect to Lagna. You will start from there. But none of them seem to be working. If you ask me, none of them seem to be working. I mean, accurately. Okay, they may work once or twice, but if you have 100 horoscopes in front of you and if you try to judge them, they will work only in 30% of the cases. They don't work even in the majority.
Oh, okay, sir.
So it's like it's by chance it might work. But when you have a clear understanding of what the nakshatra deity and everything is all about, why do you even have to bother about what Ketu has to stand for on the Vinsotri side? I don't think you should worry much about it. Better
Oh, okay,
part,
sir.
better
Yeah.
part is always consider the Devata and have the stories around it. It will take a little time for your heads to be wrapped into these stories. It will take a little time. It's not going to come overnight. It will take a lot of time, maybe 1 year, 1.5 years. But once this gets into the heads, it will stay forever.
Yeah, sir. I'm completely into it, but I've been hearing, so these are all primitive questions. Like, should we consider that, or will it have any significance, or like that? So the Vimshottari Lord system, because mostly that's what going around. Vimshottari, he is in Venus star, so he'll get money. He's in Ketu star, so everything will be like. He may be spiritual, but he'll have a lot of stuff like they take away. Ketu is like
Did
yeah.
you find them to be working? First thing is that okay, whatever they are saying, it's okay. But did you validate them? Do you think they are working?
No, sir. In fact, I don't have really any clue. I am like a LKG student who who asks like, should we write AB or we should follow the sight words? So like that. So it's a primitive question. So I really don't have any.
What
I
I
don't
would
have so
suggest,
many horoscopes as of now.
okay, what I would suggest is have at least whatever you have, maybe 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever, and try to apply any principle, whatever is being taught. I'm not against any principle. The only point is the moment you start to apply these principles, they have to work universally, or at least in 95 charts. 5% of an exception is always there. So if only it works in 5% or 10% and everything else 90% don't work, then then there is something wrong with the principle itself.
Yeah.
And you can still keep extending the thing. I mean, when we did not know that these were the these were the deities, then for sure you have to apply that. But once we have got to know about what the deities are, it's better to use the deities and the stories around it. Okay.
Yeah, these are making more sense. So These
are
I can see applying. Stars I can see applying as of now, but
the
I'm not
only
sure
challenge.
they will apply because I have seen I just see one or two horoscopes where they have full of Venus stars and they are still like struggling for money kind of stuff and all.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you have more Venus stars, you're actually struggling because Venus gives more struggle. Bharani, Purva Phalguni, Purva Shada, these are all struggling stars. They're not very helpful stars. They'll make you struggle. This is a very generic statement. Okay. Now you have some 10th Lord in the Bharani. Yes, he's excelling for sure. You have something else. I mean, 7th Lord in the Bharani. Yeah, he's not doing that great. These are again, there are a lot of things that you're looking at. So if you have the whole story around it, then it is a lot more interesting or a lot more closer to reality. The only challenge with these nakshatra stories or this kind of learning is it takes a lot of time for you to decode one horoscope. You sit with the horoscope, it will take some time for you to digest it. You have to do a lot of ahs and oohs and then take a pause, and you have to check for the cusp, then the lord, then the dispositor, and then look around all three for a single thing. I mean, with the D1 itself, you have so much of information. Then you go into the divisional chart, then cross check it, and then pronounce the result. That means you're checking it from 3, 4 locations and you have a clear idea. And then you have two different dashas like the Vimshodri that we use, and also we use Kala Chakra Dasha or some other dasha that you are very comfortable with. And it will be like an I don't what should you say? It should be like a flawless thing. That's what you would have at the end.
Yes, sir. It's a lot of permutations and combinations. We need to apply all those things. Yeah.
Why generalize when you have three different things for three different stars? I mean, why do you generalize all the three Venus stars when one is Bharani, the other one is Purva Phalguni is a different deity, and Purva Shada is a different deity. Purva Shada is Apaha, that is Ganga. Purva Phalguni is Aryaman, and Bharani is Yaman. So all three have three different traits altogether. So you cannot generalize any of them.
Yes, sir. Makes sense.
When there is specificity, why generalize? Generalize something where there is no specificity. Like the first lord gets into second house, third house. There are a lot of people give lectures on that. Those are all very generic things. I'm not saying they don't work. They would work. For sure they would work, but you need to know how they can be applied. I will teach them as well. I mean, you have sun in the first house, second house, third house, and so on, and also you have each of the planets. All that we will also go through. But once we have a clear understanding of the nakshatras, they are more specific. They are more powerful to deliver results rather than having the seventh lord in the 12th house is a bad thing. But no, seventh lord in the 12th house, it can still be there in a good nakshatra, while the seventh lord in the fourth house or fifth house, if it's in a bad nakshatra, that's a bad result. Assuming the Libra Lagna, and you have the seventh lord, assuming Mars in exaltation in Dhanishta, that's a bad sign for the seventh lord to have been placed in Dhanishta, because Dhanishta is the sign of Bhishma, who did not marry. The objective of the seventh lord is to give you marriage. The objective of the seventh lord should not be in a position wherein it gives you money through business. The objective of seventh lord is to give you marriage. Yes, business is definitely a thing. It can come from 10th house as well. So seventh lord Mars of the Libra Lagna placed in Dhanishta. You might be thinking it's an exalted position. Oh wow, no, it is going to trouble you with the marriage. You can't find the right marriage. You will be rejecting a lot of people with the proposals. No matter how much of a good guy you would get, you would still keep rejecting because you think he's not worth. Okay, provided you should also look at the dispositor, the seventh, now the Saturn, the placement of Saturn. If he as well is in Dhanishta, it's more bad, right? So now you have the fourth lord in the own sign, and you have the seventh lord exalted. I mean, if you just get carried away by the thing, thinking, oh wow, it's super with an exaltation, you are at loss. Okay, these things, the exaltations or the fourth houses, the kendras or the konas are not going to explain, and the result is going to be above it. That's the nakshatra, because everything comes from the nakshatra. That's what we have heard in the first class. So you cannot ignore nakshatras and their deities. So that's more important than anything else. With all these 25 years, what I have understood is if your planet is in a good nakshatra for that specific thing, okay. Now let's suppose your fourth lord is in Dhanishta nakshatra, excellent. Okay, you will have huge properties. You have now even in this case, which I just explained it to you, wherein the Libra has in the fourth house there is Dhanishta. The person is very successful materialistically, but he does not have a good marriage. Okay, so who would want a life where one thing is very good, the other thing is bad? Everybody would need a balanced life, right? I would believe from the Indian context. Not very sure. Even from the Western context, people would think on their personal lives they should be happy as well. Who would want to marry 10 times? Nobody. Or who would want to remain a bachelor? Nobody. All right. You have more questions? I mean, don't think I'm discouraging I'm trying to say that this don't work or that don't work. It is important to ask, because unless you ask, I don't think anybody can tell or peep through what you have in your brains. So I would encourage people asking, no matter how much ever foolish the question can be. I don't think any question is foolish. Sometimes even the questions can, poke me around and say, look for something else. Maybe I'll not be able to answer a few questions. Who might know? So if I do not know the answer, I would honestly agree that I do not know. I'll go back, have some preparation, and come back and answer. Okay. So don't think I would bluff around and move away. I'm not that kind of a person. You have more questions, madam? Because the lecture.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Somebody else has a question. N has a question. Last week, one madam was asking me. I have a few questions. I've made some notes. She's not up today. Okay. Okay. Oh, yes, madam.
Sir, I have a horoscope where Magha is dispositing 6 houses.
Okay.
You wanna look at it?
I can look at it. Is there something that you would want to convey? I mean, is it not the way we have talked about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's making sense, like a lot of the things.
Okay. Is it going to throw up a challenge? Because I'm fond of challenges. Anyway, I'm just kidding.
I don't know, sir, because I don't have knowledge to judge. So the date of birth is March
1 second. Okay. Okay. March
29,
29,
1968,
1968,
1431,
1431. Okay.
Eluru.
Okay. Eluru. This falls in Andhra Pradesh. Eluru.
Yeah, male.
That's a male. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
But the challenge here is, madam, we haven't covered about Revati or Uttarabhadra or any of those stars. So unless we understand a little bit about it, so because all these planets are in the Pisces, wherein you need to know you need to have some understanding of Revati. That's when you would cover these. Okay, can you just detail out what is that you are you are looking at
Yeah.
and what?
Yeah. Actually, he's surgeon, orthopedic surgeon. He practiced it. He's very, very good at it. But he stopped the practice and he put all the investment in mines.
Okay.
And then he married once and got a kid. Then he got into second marriage. So this is about the person. So he's now in a situation. You said that there would be a fall, right? So I could see that because he was really If he continued that practice, he would have like somewhere else. So
Does
he
he have?
stopped there.
The first question I would see planets in Magha. The first question I would ask is, does he have children? I'm not going into
Yes,
these.
yes,
Okay.
sir. One daughter. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So now if we could see that his investment is in mines, will he get it back? Will he get the money back? He's in really struggling situation. So that's what
Okay.
he's
If
the whole
he's
thing.
if he's a Hindu, is he following the Shraddha karmas every year?
He has an elder brother who is also surgeon. I think he will take care of all those things.
Does he bother to go at least or have a look at while the karma is while the Shraddha is happening, or he's refraining
Uh,
from it?
oh yeah.
Is
He'll
there?
take care of parents. His parents are still alive, and he'll take care of parents. Like not
Okay.
complete responsibility, but yeah.
Okay.
And he's in touch with the kid too. The kid comes to the house and spends some time and goes like that.
Oh, the child is from the first marriage.
Yes. Second marriage, no kids.
Okay, so it's only half the responsibility, right? That's why. Okay. I mean, I would advise let's wait till Revati, is dealt with. This is a little complex. I do not want to talk about this in the public. However, a few things that I can say is, the right. I'm not going to upload this into the YouTube. Okay, just taking this off YouTube. So
Oh, okay,
the
sir.
the first thing is you have to be responsible for um, all the deeds that are happening here. First is Magha is a star where this Jupiter is in retrogression, so there is a fall. But the kind of money that he is stuck and stuff like that is being shown up by the Venus and Mercury. Okay, because those are Karkas women placed in Purva Bhadra. And a lot of planets are influencing Revati. 10th house is Ashwini, so yeah, that can show that the person is very skillful. As long as he was doing his job with respect to Ashwini, he was very good.
Yes,
And
sir.
he can't go back right now because he's left it long while ago, isn't it?
Yeah, we're not sure whether he would like to. He stopped it from 2022. He stopped it, and then he jumped into this business of means all the investment. Yeah, maybe we can advise him like if that works. So I'm not sure. Yeah.
Let me just see. Okay. But you need to time and stuff like that. It's 8:48 right now. Okay, let me see if we can quickly see if something works. Otherwise, we'll have to. I'll take a note of this. If I can help you through, I can give you that.
Sure, sir.
So when has he put his money?
2020, sir.
Okay. Hmm. Are you sure the time is right?
They said the same thing. So
I don't know. I mean, if he is, did he not take divorce from the first wife?
not completely, sir. Not fully.
Okay. Because if there was a divorce from the first wife, then it has to show up here, which is not showing up to me. That's why I'm asking. So even she is in touch with him. I mean, may not be physically, but maybe he keeps.
Yeah. Yeah, I think some cordial or something like that.
Okay, so they have got away from each other friendly.
Yeah.
Uh, okay. But why is he not going for kids with the new wife?
He didn't get the kids, sir. It didn't happen. So we don't know the like details of it, but as far as we know, it didn't happen.
So you know that the divorce is not true. I mean, he would still. I mean, officially, it's not true.
Yes, sir. I know that for sure. Not fully.
Mhm. Okay. Mhm. Do you know what kind of mines they are? Coal or something?
Yes, sir.
Coal?
Yeah. Coal mines.
Mhm. Okay. Do not ask me why I'm giving you this remedy. Ask him to just blindly follow. Okay. The
Yeah,
remedy
sure.
is the remedy is wearing a wristwatch at all times, and there is a clock somewhere which is I usually give this remedy. Okay, there's a clock somewhere which is not showing the right time. Remove the clock and throw it away. Okay, first
Okay.
thing.
You get rid of the clock first thing. Okay.
I think I also gave you this remedy once, right? You know the remedy. You do not know this?
No, sir.
Okay. So this is a most of the people know this remedy. So if the clock is not right, correct the clock on the walls. Move all your wall clocks onto the east wall. Wear a watch at all times, even at night. Just when you are when you are taking a bath, remove the watch. Okay. All 24 hours there is a wristwatch on the hand, and on the east walls, all the clocks. Not any clock is on the west wall or the south wall for sure. Even the north clocks are also to be moved to the east, and all clocks should be showing the right time. If there are watches, wrist watches, or wall clocks which are showing wrong time, throw them off into the bin. This remedy works like a gem. Okay, I tried myself. This is mostly for stuck money, first thing. And I'm seeing the ninth house afflictions here. The sun and moon are together, Saturn, Rahu together, coal mines, which you said, uh, Venus and Mercury in the eighth house. So that would show stocking up of money. It's not because of Magha. Okay, that's why I'm not giving you enough explanation why I have said that. Ask him to
Yeah.
do this, and if there is a if there is an indiscipline in getting up and going to bed late, getting up late, which he used to do properly when he was in a job or something. If the routine is disturbed, ask him to follow a proper routine.
Okay, sir.
Do you see that the routine is disturbed, which he used to do early, wake up and things like that, which is not happening right now?
Not sure of it, sir.
Okay, maybe ask him. You will get to see something about the discipline is wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody? Any question?
You said with respect to the clocks, even you are doing it, so that's a generic thing where the wall should face east?
If you think that your money is getting stuck, okay, and if things are not happening on time, then
Okay.
it's good to move your clocks onto your east walls. And it will also show up where Sun is the Karaka. Sun is the Karaka for the ninth house. Okay. So you can see the Amavasya Yoga there. Sun and Moon are together. There is an Amavasya along with a Rahu. That means there is an eclipse, right? So on an Amavasya day, if there is an eclipse, it means that the Sun is under eclipse. There is a solar eclipse there. Okay. And the point is the Sun is at 15 degrees, so it has not approached Rahu yet. So it is getting into the eclipse. So Sun, when it is out of the eclipse, it is going to benefit more. I mean, had the Sun's degrees are more and Rahu's degrees are less, it means that Sun has exited out of the eclipse. I mean, the eclipse happened a few days ago.
Sir, there is an update. I'm sorry. The mines are not coal, they are quartz, some kind of stones or something. Quartz mines.
The white or the black. Okay, it works for both. Quartz is the white stone, coal is a black stone. So either it is white or black. That's what I thought.
Okay, sir. So we can he expect that it will be back or it will take some more time? Like
It will take some more time, but it will be back. Okay.
okay.
And
Yeah.
also ask him to do the road. I mean, I can give you the recording. Okay, let me upload this. What is wrong? I'll upload this. No problem. Let me upload this. So I mean, listen to it once again. You can do the remedy yourself. I might have said a few things as well along with that on the Shraddha thing. So when the Shraddha happens, maybe could be of the grandfather or the grandmother. Just go and be present. Take the prasada from there.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Good then. Let's call it a day. Unless anybody has questions, I'll wait for a couple of more minutes. And then you may drop off whoever does not have a question. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.